Hello, and welcome to Professor G's Math Classroom. Today we're factoring trinomials where the lead coefficient is going to be greater than 1. So you can see in our trinomial, 30x squared minus 26x plus 4, the lead coefficient is 30. Now we could do this by trial and error, but I like to use the AC method because it gives us step-by-step instructions so that we can factor this correctly. Okay, so let's get started. First, we need to look to see if there's a greatest common factor. And looking at 30, 26, and 4, I know that there is a greatest common factor of 2. So let's divide out the 2, and it will give us 2 times 15x squared minus 13x plus 2. Now we're going to focus on the 15x squared minus 13x plus 2, but don't forget about our greatest common factor, as we're going to need to have that in our final answer. But for now, let's look at 15x squared minus 13x plus 2. When factoring using the AC method, or an alternative method, we begin by multiplying the first coefficient by the last. So 15 times 2 equals 30. Next, we're going to list the factors of 30. And we're going to get 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. So we've listed the factors of 30. Keep in mind our signs. When we did 15 times that positive 2, we got positive 30. So we know that the signs are going to be the same. Looking at that middle term, we've got to use our factors to split our minus 13x. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take our trinomial of 3 terms and split it to make 4 terms and then factor by grouping. Okay, looking at this, I'm going to use 3 and 10. And the reason I'm choosing 3 and 10 is because negative 3 times negative 10 will give me that positive 30. However, negative 3 plus negative 10 will give me the middle term of minus 13x. Okay, so now let's split our 3 terms into 4 using these factors. We're going to have 15x squared minus 3x minus 10x plus 2. Okay, so we have 4 terms, and we're going to factor 4 terms by grouping. So I'm going to group the first 2 and the last 2. Be very careful of the signs. When factoring 4 terms by grouping, we factor the first 2. We look for the greatest common factor between 15x squared minus 3x. We're going to factor out 3x, and that will leave us with 5x minus 1. Next, we have minus 10x plus 2. And our ultimate goal is to, when we factor by these 2 factors, what we want is to get 5x minus 1. So I'm going to factor out a common factor of minus, and the greatest common factor between 10 and 2 is minus 2. And that will leave us with minus 10x, divide out the minus 2 to give us 5x minus 1. Okay, we have to factor again. And you can see they both contain a factor of 5x minus 1. And what's left is 3x minus 2. But don't forget our greatest common factor of 2. So our final answer will be 2 times 5x minus 1 times 3x minus 2. Remember, you can always check your work by multiplying out these factors. Now you give it a try.